Hey guys, June here, and this video is going to be a guide for killing the Queen Black Dragon. It's one of the most profitable bosses, and it's also very consistent. You'll make about 5 to 7 mil an hour every hour here, and it's not too challenging. Even those of you who are beginners at PvM should be able to get the hang of it and kill it consistently with just a few tries, and it'll also help you build your skills for some higher level PvM later on. So the gear is pretty simple, a basic setup for DPS ranged, with the exception that it's basically mandatory that you use Dragonbane bolts. You can kill it without those, but they're going to cut your kill time in half, and it's simply not worth killing the boss unless you have these. So if you haven't done Ritual of the Majorat quest, just get that over with and make these. You'll thank me later. I'm using a Slayer helm because I've got a Black Dragon's task. I'm using Armadale because it's not degradable. I'm not going to take a lot of damage, and Soul Split's going to cover most of it. Plus, I'm going to be refunded supplies, every loot. For an aura, I don't need anything to boost accuracy because of the Dragonbane bolts, so Inspiration's a good one to build Adrenaline, or Vampirism or Penance to extend the trip. In my inventory, I've got a Steel Titan and some scrolls. If you don't have a really good combat familiar, you can also use a unicorn to extend your trips a little bit. I've got Searing Overloads. You could use regular overloads and super anti-fire potions, but you definitely want to have at least both of those effects going on. I've got replenishment potions. These are just to boost my adrenaline at the start of the fight. You could use regular adrenaline potions, or if you don't have any, you don't really need these at all. I've got prayer potions and some brews and some fish. Like I said, you're going to get more than enough supplies from killing the Queen Black Dragon to stay here as long as your overloads last. So with all that said, let's get started with the fight.
Phase 1 begins with a rather long spawn animation for the Queen. It takes a total of about 17 seconds. You can take this time to pot up, summon your familiar, or turn on an aura if you need to prepare yourself. When it actually begins, she's got 4 attacks she uses on this phase, all of which she'll continue to use for the rest of the fight, but for the start we're only going to worry about 4. She's got a basic ranged attack, which you'll see on screen now, that can deal up to 2200 damage, and she's also got a melee basic if you're standing a little bit closer to her head than I am. That deals about the same damage. She's got a basic Dragonfire, which you see now. This deals negligible damage as long as you're using an anti-fire potion, but it can deal high damage if you're not, so make sure you are. The first attack that she gives a chat notification for is this Wall of Fire. Now there's only one wall on the first phase, and this space can spawn in any of 3 locations, one at the far right, which you see here, one in the center on the tile that I'm standing on, and one toward the left. If you stand in this location, you won't receive any damage, but if the wall passes over you, it'll deal 750 per tick. If you don't move, that's going to be 2 hits, and if you do try to run through it, it will be either 1 or 0, depending on how the synchronization of your movement with the wall's movement happens to stack. Now, when her HP is fully depleted, we simply tag the artifact in the center, and we begin Phase 2. 2 changes have been made on Phase 2. The first and most simple is that the Firewall special attack will now conjure 2 walls in succession with different space locations. The second, as you see notified in chat now, is she's gained a new special attack, and she will conjure a Tortured Soul to the left side of the player. Shortly after it spawns, it will have a message appear over its head, and it will conjure a black circle under the player. If the player doesn't move and this is allowed to strike the player, it'll deal up to about 1100 damage. However, by clicking on the opposite side of the soul at just the right timing, you can actually lure the bomb on top of the soul and deal the damage to it rather than to you. At first it's difficult to get the timing right, but with a little bit of practice you'll be able to do this successfully every time, and the key really is to click on the opposite side of the soul exactly at the moment that the chat appears over its head. The rest of the phase proceeds as normal. Deplete her HP, and then we're going to tag the artifact at the southwest corner. One important thing to remember with the 3 artifacts at the south end of the arena are that if you're standing on the invisible parts of the platform for too long, you receive 1500 typeless damage. So tag it quickly and then get back to the solid part of the platform. And we are on Phase 3. Several additional changes occur on Phase 3. The first, which you can see on screen now, is that the Firewall special attack is now going to spawn 3 walls in succession, and each of the 3 locations where a space can form will be utilized. The second change is that when the queen summons tortured souls on this phase, they appear on both the left and right sides of the player. You can lure the bombs in either direction in this case, and they will target one of the souls. The queen also has two new passive special attacks she can use on this phase. The first, which you see on screen now, says that she's hardened her carapace. In this state, she takes significantly reduced melee and range damage, but much higher magic damage. The alternative type says that she's taken on the consistency of crystal and she'll turn a bright blue. In that case, she takes massively reduced magic damage and significantly increased ranged and melee damage. These really only have the effect of either speeding up or slowing down the remainder of the kill for you. They have no impact on the damage that you will take. The last behavior the queen gains on this phase is that at any time if a tortured soul remains alive, she's able to siphon energy from it. She'll rapidly deal 100 damage over time, and for every 100 damage she deals, she'll gain an additional 200 life points. This is totally negligible in the grand scheme of the fight. It's quite easy to deal damage faster than she restores it this way, and I recommend you just ignore it and let her kill her souls in this fashion. For the rest of the phase, just deplete her HP, and we're going to tag the artifact in the southeast corner, once again remembering not to stand on the platform for too long to avoid that 1500 damage typeless hit. On phase 4, the queen will continue to only use 3 walls on her firewall special attack. However, when she summons tortured souls, she summons them in groups of 4, and they will spawn at locations diagonal to the player, so in order to lure them across and damage the souls rather than you, you need to move in any of the 4 diagonal directions the same way as we have previously. The queen also gains a new special attack on this phase, which you see notified in the chat box that she's gathering her strength to breathe extremely hot flames. Now this attack deals damage based on your proximity to the center of the platform. At the far right and left sides of the platform you'll be dealt 750 damage per tick, which is significant but not particularly dangerous. If, however, you're standing near the artifact in the center, you're going to take extremely high damage over time, so it's very important that you stay to the right or left sides to deal with this attack. This also happens to be the attack that you need to brandish the royal crossbow in front of in order to forge it. The final new attack is that if a tortured soul is left alive on phase 4, it can teleport to either of the 2 locations I've marked in this image, and they'll start talking about time stopping and the queen channeling energy into them. After talking about this for about 5 to 10 seconds, the player will have time stopped for them. The queen will continue to attack during this time, and after the spell is expired, all of the damage that was dealt during the entire process will be dealt all at once, and this can very, very easily kill the player. So if you see a soul at either of these locations chatting for any reason, kill them immediately to avoid this special attack. With all that said, all we need to do to complete the fight is to finish depleting the queen's HP on phase 4 and tag the final artifact in the center of the southern area. We can descend the stairs that appear and claim our loot from the coffer in the room that follows. Remember, the coffer always contains 1 stack of supply items. This can be either 2-dose Ceridome and Brews, 2-dose Super Restores, or Rocktails, and these should be more than enough to keep you running as long as you want once you have some experience doing this. And then the portal in the room that follows can also be used to quick start another fight with the queen if that is what you choose to do. So I hope this is useful for you. Like I said, once you get the hang of this, you can make tons and tons of money with very little effort here, and maybe even pick yourself up a Queen Black Dragon pet. So I will see you guys in the next video, and good luck.